Welcome to Electrified. It's your host, Dylan Loomis. I hope you all had an awesome weekend. So let's start off the week with some potentially big news from Troy Teslake. I've heard that Tesla is planning to start production at Giga Texas with the Cybertruck and not the Model Y. He continues, Cybertruck will have the 4680 cells and a structural battery pack, which will also be built in Texas. And then he says, things are fluid and plans change quickly, and this is the latest plan. However, the Model Y is not too far away, maybe 2 months behind the Cybertruck. And in terms of when this production might start, he's thinking October or November of this year. So remember, in the title, this is just a rumor. But when you start to think about it, so Giga Berlin is going to start with the Model Y, and they could, in theory, work out some of the initial ramping and production issues at Giga Berlin instead of having to do it simultaneously at Giga Texas. Whereas if they did start with the Cybertruck, then they could learn all of the new Model Y issues with the beginning of production. And then once they have that process from Giga Berlin smooth and running, they can implement that over at Giga Texas. But I'm definitely a bit skeptical of this because if you look at the equipment that's been installed at Giga Texas so far, you would think that they are gearing up for the Model Y production ramp and not the Cybertruck. But at the same time, a big part of this design for the Cybertruck in that planar design is so that it's simple to manufacture. Now, yes, it's a completely new manufacturing method that Tesla will ultimately have to work out a lot of new challenges for, but at the same time, it should in theory be simpler to produce than something like a Model Y, which means there is a chance it could be a faster ramp when compared to a Model Y. And for whatever it's worth, if you go to the Tesla design website for the Cybertruck, you can see that you can complete your configuration as production nears in late 2021. So unless this is an oversight on Tesla's part, then they are still expecting production to start by the end of this year. And I think one of the main reasons for a decision like this ultimately would be the demand. And Tesla has an idea of the current demand for the Model Y in the United States and their ability to ultimately meet that demand. And you have to remember, they might have a backlog of over 1 million vehicles for the Cybertruck demand. So when weighing the two, sure, maybe it made sense to start with the Cybertruck to start eating into some of that backlog. But let me know what you guys think. What vehicle will we see first out of Giga Texas, the Cybertruck or the Model Y? Moving on, Tesla launches second renewable energy supercharger station with a Powerwall in China. And yes, this is a small operation. We're talking 4 Powerwalls and 6 stalls. But it is news because this is the first next generation station in Shanghai, and here you can see some of the images, which definitely look pretty cool and welcoming if you ask me. And Sawyer is going to share some other news that is apparently from Troy Teslake, so let's go through it. Giga Berlin will start production in December. Nothing really new. Tesla's Tilburg factory is being repurposed for Tesla Energy. There is no final decision about where the cells will come from or the initial Model Y production at Giga Berlin. Tesla is considering building 4680 packs in Texas and shipping them to Berlin until Berlin starts its own cell and pack production and the production rate is high. Giga Texas is way ahead of Giga Berlin. Tesla is dealing with lawsuits in Germany by legacy automakers related to employees switching to Tesla. The source said they do everything to delay Berlin. And finally, Tesla is in talks with Mercedes, BMW, VW, and Opel about sharing superchargers in Europe. They tested a Volkswagen e-Golf and it supercharged to 100% in 15 minutes. Now I have to be honest, this last point does not make any sense to me. I don't think the e-Golf battery pack is even capable of supercharging that fast. Somebody please correct me if I'm wrong, but this part just does not make any sense to me. So once again, these are classified as rumors and speculation, and look, there's really nothing groundbreaking, nothing that we haven't known already, but wanted to share it with you guys nonetheless. But getting to some actual news here, so Tesla launched its own virtual power plant for customers in California. It's actually launching. It should be live on July 22nd. So basically, if you have a Powerwall, Tesla will be able to dispatch your Powerwall when the grid needs support while continuing to maintain your energy security. So basically, as a Powerwall owner, you can decide to allow some of your capacity to go back to the grid, and hopefully if you're involved in a net energy metering program, then you can be compensated for that energy. But there are some issues with this, and I'll mention it in a second. So the Powerwall will discharge during VPP events, but it won't discharge below your backup reserve, so you can adjust your backup reserve to control your contribution while maintaining backup energy for outages of your own. And if you export these credits during peak periods, and if you're part of a net energy metering program, you may earn some credits for the energy that you send to the grid. And I'll just say this, If these customers aren't being compensated well financially for sending their power from the Powerwalls to the grid, I'm not sure how successful this program will be, although it sounds great in theory, because you have to remember, as they're sending their power to the grid, that means they have to cycle through their Powerwall more often, which of course is going to degrade the battery faster than if they just kept that energy for themselves. And if they send power to the grid and then there is an outage or a blackout and they have less power for their own home, they're going to have to be compensated well to take that risk, right? So we'll see how this one plays out. And one of the bigger trending news stories today comes from this Elon tweet. You don't even need to touch the shifter in the new Model S. Auto detect direction will come as an optional setting to all cars with FSD. So this new feature where your Tesla basically reads by itself whether you want to go forward or backward out of park is now coming to all cars, Model 3 and Model Y, if you have full self-driving. And maybe it's just me, but I'm personally not that overly excited about this feature. Sure, I think it's cool, but unless it works almost flawlessly, then to have to think and pay attention to, is it gonna go the right direction, and wonder if you're gonna go forward or backward, instead of just pressing a button or moving a stock real quick to know that you're going in reverse or forward. I don't know, to me it just doesn't seem that beneficial, but apparently it feels like I'm in the minority here. Maybe I'm just weird. So Tesla's first ever Supercharger is actually permanently closing to the public. This one is at Tesla's design studio, and this one will be closing due to security concerns as it's been located right next to Tesla's design studio. So as you can see, the note on the Supercharger stall says the location will be closing permanently to the general public on Monday, today, July 19th. So what are the security reasons? Well, first you need to drive on the back streets of SpaceX's headquarters just to get to the station. This station, as mentioned, shares a lobby with the actual design studio where Tesla works on new vehicles and secret projects. Some conference rooms are actually visible from the lobby of the Supercharger station, and the use of phones in this lobby was prohibited because Tesla didn't want them to record. So maybe people were getting too nosy at this Supercharger station and Tesla just thought, hey, we can't do this anymore. We don't want certain things to leak. But the good news is that there is another Supercharger station at Target right across the street. And real quick, Tony Pham asked, when is the wider rollout going to happen? Elon said, wide beta maybe with FSD revision 10, definitely revision 11. And then he was asked, do you mean the button by this? And Elon said yes. And one of the more controversial topics over the weekend, Tesla is looking to charge customers $1,500 to upgrade their full self-driving computer to actually use this new full self-driving beta V9. This of course comes about because of the new full self-driving subscription. And if you're wondering, well, what's the big deal? Back in October of 2016, Tesla advertised in a blog post, all Tesla cars being produced now have full self-driving hardware, but now Tesla requiring these users to pay an additional $1,500 to have the real hardware that they need, because obviously things have changed over the last 5 years, is causing a lot of people to be upset about this. And to be honest, they have a right to be upset. But I don't want to get too far into this because things are not clear. Some people are actually saying that they had the upgrade for free. Tesla did not charge them the $1,500 and they did it over the last 2 weeks. And obviously other users are seemingly being prompted that they will have to pay $1,500. So nobody really knows what's exactly going on here, who's paying, who's getting the free upgrades. If you complain, will you get a free upgrade? It's too early, but I do think, given that blog post, that Tesla should do this upgrade for free for people that paid for full self-driving from 2016 and on. And I thought this was cool. So this is from Dirty Tesla. He got to hang out with Sandy Monroe. This is the hardware 3.0 with the 2 Tesla custom chips. And this was hardware 2.5, as you can see, with the 3 chips. Those were from NVIDIA, I believe, if I remember correctly. And when you cancel your FSD subscription, you can cancel it right away and still use it for the rest of the month, just like most subscription services. So you can pay the $200 or the $100 if you already have the enhanced autopilot, get it for the month, and then cancel it so you don't have to worry about forgetting to cancel it if you only want it for 1 month. Tesla opened its first Supercharger station in Singapore, and I believe this is a picture of it, so there you go. Over the weekend, Elon said current summon is sometimes useful, but mostly just a fun trick. Once we move summon plus highway driving to a single FSD stack, it will be sublime. The Model 3 delivery timelines have been pushed back a little bit. Standard range is 7 to 13 weeks. Long range is now 10 to 16 weeks. And the performance is 7 to 11. And since we're here, quick update on the Model Y. The long range is still October and the performance is 7 to 11 weeks. But that's all for today. Please take a second to like the video if you did. I hope you guys have an awesome day, and a major thank you to all of my Patreon supporters on the last screen.